thought about the best places to work in Mississippi, and who better to have on our panel but those winners from the small category, mega, and big businesses. And who better to facilitate this panel than my twin? Did you guys know I had a twin? My twin, Tammy Jones from Mississippi Business Journal, that holds that awards for the top business companies in Mississippi, best places to work. So I'm going to hand you the mic, and we're going to talk to them. And we want to hear what are they doing to keep and retain talent here in Mississippi, and suggestions from you.
Thank you, Kathy. Yes, that is my twin. I was standing out there and someone said, Kathy. I said, no, there she is right there. So again, I'm Tammy Jones. I'm the publisher of the Mississippi Business Journal. This came at a perfect time for me because we are getting ready to start our Best Places to Work event and surveys. These three companies, these three people that you see here today, I think we have a newcomer with BCI, maybe a year or two, sort of. But they are examples, in my personal opinion, of best places to work. The Mississippi Business Journal does nothing in regards to picking the companies. We have a research firm that does all of this, so our hands are out of it. So what their employees say about them makes them best places to work. So we have some questions. I'll start it off and we'll get someone to chime in. Do I need to introduce everybody? For sure. Yeah, for sure. We have Carolyn Boatler from Tempstaff. We also have Jonathan Hollingshead from BCI, and then Beth Tackett from Viking Range. So our first question is, what is talent acquisition? What's the priority, acquisition or retention? And I'll let anyone chime in.
Well, I'll be happy to start. I hate to say that there's one that is more important than the other, because really and truly right now, I know that we're also focused on filling these positions that we have available due to just our nationwide labor shortage. So certainly acquisition is always at the front of our minds on a daily basis, as far as, managers contacting you and saying, where's that quality position, I was supposed to have a week ago, or that was supposed to start at the beginning of Q2. You've got that to deal with as an employer, of course, so that's pressing and certainly such a priority to make sure that we all meet our production needs. But on the opposite side, retention is what it's all about. It truly is. We at Viking believe that employees are our greatest asset. And I've been with Viking now for 25 years, and that has not changed for me. It was something that was really fully ingrained in our company from the beginning with our founder. And we still focus on that each and every day. So from a retention standpoint, I encourage all employers to do everything you can to try to really determine what your employees need, what they are feeling, all of this movement that we see with people, jumping from one employer to the next for different reasons across the board. As we all know, it's not always about money. Do everything that you can to try to really determine what's going on with your employees and what they're feeling about their career progression and what you have ahead for them at your company.
All right, thank you, Beth. Anyone else?
I have one.
Let me use my own microphone. I always use the scenario of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. And it's hard to, in this day and market, to attract great employees. And I think once we get those employees, it is so important to keep them happy. I think in our company, I hate nothing more than having to train a new employee, because there's so much involved, and it takes roughly 2 years to get someone acclimated to staffing. And so it's so important to invest that time, listen to your employees to make sure that you are listening to what their needs are. And certainly after COVID, three of us were talking earlier that what is the new norm now? And so it's so important to listen, but you've got to place your focus on both of them.
All right, thank you.
I was just going to add in that we've doubled in growth or in number of employees in the last 4 years. So I think it makes it more important for us on the retaining because it's already hard enough to recruit. We're a managed IT company, so high technology, managing other companies' IT for them. And so we have to have skilled people in cybersecurity and other facets of technology. And for us, retaining is important for the institutional knowledge of our company, but also our customers' networks and what they have. And then, we're adding people, 10 a year for the last 4 years. We hired 3 this month alone. Just as important, both sides are important to us. But if we weren't retaining, I don't know that we could keep up with the growth otherwise. So we kind of focus on both.
All right, thank you. Next question. As an organization, how do you effectively solicit feedback from employees and address evolving needs or concerns? Jonathan, you can go.
Yeah, I'll start. So we have suggestion boxes around the office for people to contribute anonymously. We have an anonymous call-in line of it for call-in if they have issues or complaints or suggestions. But and we also do surveys to ask about specific things, healthcare concerns or whatever we got going on at the time. So we send out several of those a year to get feedback. But I think for us, the number one thing is creating a culture where people can come talk to you anytime. So our culture, it doesn't matter the manager, they can skip to me and come talk. Happens every day. So that part's working for us is we're all, at least our company, we're all in it together to make it better. And so if you got a problem, let's try to solve it.
All right, thank you. Beth, did you have?
I echo exactly what you just, the sentiments there. Just having that true open door policy for all of your employees, whether it be, whatever level, where they know that they can come to you or go to their supervisor or the president of the company. I think that is key. We do many of those same things. And I will also say that Tammy's research group and the survey that is sent out to be eligible to be in the best places to work in Mississippi, that is a real key factor that we use when we're looking at things because it is completely anonymous. The employees have that option to be able to say whatever they want. It's not going through us before it gets to the research group, and being able to see that feedback each year after we've had the chance to participate, it really is vital. Of course, we have the ethics hotline and things like that, so people always know that they have an outlet if there's something that needs to be shared.
We also utilize the best places to work survey and get the results. And if I look at it and see that there's an area that we need improvement, sometimes it hurts my feelings. And I think, where have we missed out on listening to our employees? And so after that, we'll follow up maybe with a Survey Monkey or something along that line so that they feel open to share. We also, in our strategic planning meeting each and every year, we ask our employees, what do you need? What are you lacking to do a better job? Whether it's in technology or so many times it's some very basic things like, well, we'd like to have a picnic table outside to go outside and eat lunch. So it's opening that door, making sure that you're listening to what your employees are saying. And we also make sure that our doors are always open from the top to our management level. And our management team is very open to listening to what our employees have to say each and every day. And they are a lot of times a sounding board. And they bring that information to us, and then we dissect it and go from there.
It's good to know those surveys are very valuable to you guys. When I started at the Business Journal, I may tell my age, a few years ago. Prior owners had opted not to use the research company. I don't know, for whatever reason. So us reinstituting that research firm is very important because those surveys are very valuable to the companies where they can use those surveys to make tweaks with their programs that they have at their particular sites, but just help them get more acquainted and familiar with their employees. That's the most important thing about those surveys. So I appreciate that they are being used for sure. So our next question is, when considering a new job, everyone weighs the benefits to their status quo. Is it better pay, work culture, or pride in the service or product? Have you observed a major motivating factor for employee commitment in your business? And what has changed the game since the last 10 years? I'll let you go.
Okay. Well, I think when you survey your employees, you will find that money is never the number one priority. Are people motivated by money? Absolutely. But I think after COVID, we're finding, and what I heard in the previous seminar that I sat in on earlier, is that everyone is looking for a work-life balance. And I looked at one of our employees one day and I said, what in the heck is work-life balance? And I think we're all looking at that our employees want the flexibility. And we as baby boomers, we are having to change our thought process. And we're having to allow our employees to have that flexibility. They love benefits. They love community service. They love giving back. And so I think we've definitely had to change our thought process.
I was going to say, for us, the work-life balance is a struggle in IT for everybody. That if you're in that field, it's just a tough career. Things doing after night, break in, can't control your schedule. So we do have to police that. One of the things we try to counter it with is to involve more fun things inside our company. So management cooks breakfast every Friday morning for our employees. We have monthly birthday parties. We have wedding showers and baby showers, and we grill out a month, crawfish bowls. We have bourbon tastings and happy hours, and we do lots of fun stuff. To communicate and get a spirit of emotional attachment to the company, because we're spread out over 6 states. If there was a silver lining for COVID, I think for us, it helped us integrate our remote workers in better, and include them more. So we do Facebook Lives, events where we, for example, I give a monthly update on Facebook Live, so everybody can tune in, and if they're out working on a customer's network, then they can watch it later on because it's in the internal group. But we do a lot of that video conferencing. I guess lucky having a bunch of nerds working at the company like me, that we're all embrace technology all the time. So, the video conferencing and things like that came natural to everybody. So I think it's helped us retain and keep everybody tight. But there's lots of things. And I would say for us, winning the Best Place to Work award in our category it's all about the employees. I don't know that management, I can create a culture that embraces it, but I don't think I can make it the best place to work personally owning the company. The employees have to do it. All those things I named, like tonight, we're taking the 20 to 30-year-old employees out bowling, and we do cooking classes and things for females to try to get friends at work. The older you get, I realize all my friends came from work. And so we try to bond them together, do team building. But all those take scheduling, set up, clean up, everything to do with it. And the employees do almost all of that themselves. So they are the ones that are making it the best place to work, not necessarily me.
Right. Beth, did you have anything to add?
I do. Just to highlight so many of those things that you both said, it all kind of goes back to work culture, in my opinion. And with us being a manufacturing facility, bourbon tastings do not go with stainless steel. So
After hours.
That sounds
after
like a lot of fun. But yes, it's amazing that you're able to do those things. And we also do some similar things that you can bring into that manufacturing setting. So whether it be, a July 4th fish fry on the grounds or a cooking class. We had some things a few years ago prior to COVID, and I hope that we're able to start these back again, where our manufacturing employees may not have ever had the chance to do a cooking class like what you mentioned. And with Viking having our own cooking school in Greenwood, it was so much fun to see our manufacturing employees have the opportunity to be able to prepare their meal that they were going to eat on the Viking ranges that we create. So, it's really awesome to be able to see people, just use that teamwork in a setting that's not just on the manufacturing floor or in an office, in that day-to-day, feelings that we have working with each other. You're able to actually put it in motion with things like that. So I love, everything that we can do to try to promote that teamwork and give people experiences that they may not have at another employer.
I have this question is not on the list, so forgive me. But it's the question that I've tackled with myself and have wrestled with. So at the beginning of COVID a couple of years ago, most companies have had to, kind of refocus things, and most of their employees were working from home, and doing their jobs from home. So my question to you guys is, I don't know if you can give me a percentage, but what part of your staff continued to work from home, and what part of your staff came back to in office, and how did you maintain, how did you control that? Because that can be, you're working from home. Are you really doing that job? You have to think about things like that because your productivity of your company has to continue. So I'm curious to know how that was handled at each of your organizations.
I'll go first,
Sure.
Because I know that mine is going to be a little bit different than you guys. Of course, with our manufacturing staff, it wasn't possible. When you are building a range or a grill or a refrigerator, we have to be there. Mm-hmm. So the overwhelming majority of Viking employees did maintain their daily, work schedule, including overtime. Orders were out the roof, and they still are, I'm grateful to say. It's just one of those things that we had to keep up production to be able to maintain the footprint that we have here in Mississippi and beyond. So we do have some employees whose jobs did allow them to be able to work from home. We had actually gotten a mandate from our corporate office that the offices needed to work from home just to be able to cut down any transmission options that we could. Well, I can't work from home and know that I'm responsible for 800 employees that are working on the line every day. So I couldn't do that. But we did have IT staff, we had accounting staff, we had sales staff, of course, service people throughout the United States. They were able to do their position very effectively from home. And, just like you mentioned about technology, it allowed that flexibility for those employees to be able to show, hey, I can be productive from home. I don't have to sit behind my computer at my desk from 8 to 5 or from 7 to whatever every day. With the different positions, it was possible for some, but not possible for others. So that was a bit of a balance for us to try to manage that. And I'm interested to hear, I know that you guys would have had a little bit of different options there, but of course with that we maintained the heightened masking, of course, made changes in our assembly lines out on the floor so people were within 6 feet distance of each other when possible. Of course, we did everything that we could to incentivize vaccinations for those who wanted them. We didn't make it where it was mandatory. But we did do everything possible to make them available for the people that needed them. And then, everything from temperature screening every day, all those things that you all have been involved in throughout these past couple years. We just tried to do it as best possible to keep everybody safe.
So we weren't wildly different from that, oddly enough. We, at the beginning, because and, you know, looking back, I don't know that I had a good picture of what was going to happen with COVID and how bad it would be or what we were going to do. So we did send everybody home at the beginning, but more of a business continuity measure because didn't want a group of people getting sick at the same time because of being a smaller company of only, at the time, about 70 employees. So if you had 20 people get sick at one time, what are you doing? And so we did it as a business continuity measure, but we didn't have the luxury of not working because we do managed IT. So we have, you know, nursing homes that are relying on us to do the IT, rural healthcare, hospitals, things that had to stay open. So our people had to keep going in and out all the time of these locations, and give credit to all our employees that they did. They kept going. We had people, I would say, that were high-risk candidates, and we all teamed together to cover for them so they didn't have to go to those locations. But I don't know, 6 months maybe, everybody was back. Talk about the surveys thing. The single biggest complaint we've gotten in the history of my life is probably, please let me come back to the office. So, I mean, again, I think part of that is our culture. We have a lot of fun at work, and you're amongst your people. So it's a very family-oriented company, and we look out for each other, and most people are friends are there, and that's who we're trying to recruit is future friends when we're hiring. So everybody wanted to come back to work. So we have zero, other than we do have employees spread out working from home full-time, even, you know, any scenario, not just COVID, but so nobody at home today.
You had people wanting to come back.
They begged. Threatened. I guess I should say threatened.
Well, the majority of our staff would all be externalists. And so we sent half of our staff home because a lot of our workforce would not go to work. And you would think that we had grounded them because going home to work remotely or just to go home with pay was grounding them. And they were, like your employees, they were begging to come back to work. And because our recruiters are all very social and they thrive, they get their energy from being around other people, talking to our customers on the phone, talking to our field employees. And so we made some accommodations. We opened up a school at temp staff, and we allowed our employees to bring their children to work. We set up, or we already had a big screen TV, but we set up games for them, and they did all of their homework, and then we had a fun environment for their children. And when they went back to work, we had a going away party for all our children because we missed seeing all of the little kids that came to work every day with us. And they actually got to see how mom and dad worked every day for us. So it was a lot of fun.
That sounds fun. The next question is kind of a piggyback off of that last question I asked, and we can expound on it a little bit more, but how does your company respond to external influences such as limited housing options and increased commuter times? What are you doing proactively to tackle these challenges, and how are you setting your employees up for success?
I'll start with that. We ignore everything external. I mean, this is an open culture and complaints. So I think that goes back to one of the earlier things is we have people that have different scenarios and it's case by case. So come free to, you know, hey, what's happening in my life? Can I work from home for 6 months? Yes. I mean, the answer is yes, always. We'll figure it out of how we can do it and how we can manage it. But that's basically what we do with any problem area we address it by then. I mean, the external factors, COVID was probably the biggest one. Don't really have a housing problem for us. I mean, ours is around finding enough people with the skills and interest to do what we do. But that's about the only external factor for us is travel and commute and, you know, hey, my child's sick or my child can't do this, what do I do? And we make allowances. It's like bringing the kids to school. I mean, to the building to do things. We always have kids that are, I would argue a lot of us are still kids, but.
I would say just the key to it would be flexibility.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many different things. We're all impacted externally each and every day. Mostly, to your point, COVID, I think, was the best example. And just seeing how we were able to adapt through that entire frame is probably the best example of what we can do. But just flexibility is key. So there's so many things that we can accommodate. Unfortunately, there are going to be some things that you can't accommodate for. But just do your best to try to help out the employees as much as possible and be open to some new ideas. I love the idea of the school that you guys had there. That's fantastic.
I think for our company, transportation is somewhat of an issue in our lower skill jobs. Many times we have employees that share a car, and so we work probably every day in educating our partners, our clients, to be flexible. Most people cannot work an odd shift. People want that flexibility, and so we're trying to educate our partners that be flexible. Don't make a long hiring decision, because the job market is so tight right now, and there's a lot of factors that go into that. You have a lot of baby boomers retiring, and so you have the younger workforce, and they want that flexibility to be able to work some maybe job sharing or some things along that line. I encourage you to look at your labor market information that comes from MDES. Yesterday I looked, just preparing for today, but in Madison County, the number of unemployed people in Madison County is 1,460. Rankin County is 1,910, and Hinds County is 3,770. So when you look at hiring, those are not a lot of numbers. So as an employer, I encourage you to make those decisions quickly. The days of, well, I want to think about it, and I really want to interview 5 or 6 more people, those days are over. You've got to make those decisions quickly if you want to get good staff.
Go ahead.
The only thing I was going to say, I think the biggest external thing that's going to affect all of us is the work from home. So I think in Mississippi, we've all been recruiting employees against each other, competing against each other for employees, and that's gone by because of the COVID and the acceptance of working from home by baby boomers. And now, you're competing with California and Colorado and Georgia for employees, and I anticipate that it will increase all of our salaries and our costs because of it, SG&A on that, because they can go work and get a California rate even though they don't have the California expenses. And this started in the last 18 months, and in technology, I'm sure it will keep going down to other fields, but I think that's going to be the biggest external factor for all of us as business owners.
At being over the best places to work, you get the nominations in, and there's not really criteria that you have to meet, but number of employees is one of the questions that we ask on the nomination forms. And so what I have seen over the last 10 years is, especially the last couple of years, is companies shifting from one category to the next. So where you may have been a mega company, you move to the large company. So that tells me that employee count went down. So that segues into my next question in regards to retaining talent. What advice would you share with a small, medium-sized business to attract and retain the best talent that they can get?
I guess I'll go in. I may be the only medium-sized business. So I think culture is the foundation that you build on. So I think if you have a good culture and your employees like working there, then they will recruit for you. We do offer referral bonuses and things like that to help bring in people. But for the most part, people, if they're liking where they work and they don't dread coming to work, then they're telling their friends and family, and they are recruiting. And in our case, we get to interact with lots of other companies, and they get to see our culture. They get to see, we have events that involve customers monthly at least, and they get to see our culture, and they in turn also help us recruit. So when they have candidates, they will pass on, hey, this one is a good fit for you. Or so for us, I think just having a good culture and a good place to work and everybody and enjoying it, it kind of snowballs for us, at least.
Makes sense. Carolyn, did you?
I think the biggest reward that, to piggyback with what you're saying, is the biggest reward is referrals. And you know that you've done a great job when you have one of your employees say, you know what, I know so-and-so, and they would really fit into our environment. And I think that's so important, is, again, the culture.
And if the employee is a spouse or a child or a family member, you really know. Like, I mean, I've worked places that I wouldn't let anybody in my family have to tolerate it. I mean, I think everybody's had a job like that you're like, I don't know how I'm going to make it through this. But I think for us, we have family members. I mean, we got a guy starting Monday that's somebody's brother. We have married couples, and I think that says a lot about the place to work when you like it so much that you're willing to drag people you love to it.
I agree. It's just that the employee referral is absolutely your best recruiting option that you have. If you've got something going with your culture that is attractive enough for people to say, hey, my sister, would like to come work for us. Do you have anything available? That just says so much. And we've seen that through the years too. So yeah, just keep making it the best that you possibly can for your existing employees, and they'll bring in that talent that you need. I'm not saying it's always going to be easy. It's hard for everybody at certain points, but just do your best in that regard, and it will definitely pay off.
We tracked our field employees when they go through their onboarding process as to how did you hear about our company. And 75% of our field employees come from referrals. And for us, it's a challenge to always take care of our field employees because they're at another job site. So we're constantly striving to make our field employees feel important. To let them know how much we appreciate them. And again, that's the reward when we see 75% that come from referrals.
We're over that. We're almost 100% referral. I mean, we get a lot of resumes, and maybe one out of every 50 people maybe is somebody that came in blindly from somebody else.
I'll also add the working at the Business Journal. We put on a lot of events, ones that we hold ourselves, and then also ones that we partner with others on. It is very important as a business owner, from my perspective, is to get out and network as well. It's so easy to be caught up right there in front of your computer and in your office. But having things like this where we can come out, since COVID has lacked some, it's very important to get your face out there and to meet people, like-minded people that you can talk to and possibly, get some referrals from. I mean, so it's very important. I mean, Carolyn, I know her from every event that I have went to, and as well as Beth, and now Jonathan with Best Places to Work. So I see them repeatedly across different events that we do. So it's very important to get out as a business owner and network and talk to people and meet people, just so you can be out there and your face of your company can be out there as well.
We also started doing interns more. We didn't have a formalized intern unless it was some employee's child that they were trying to keep out of trouble, keep them busy all summer. But so we have a more formal where college kids come in and work in the summer that have a desire to work in our field. And now this year we've expanded it down to where we have some high school students. They don't actually work, but they're job shadowing. They still get paid, but they're job shadowing to see what the career's like and that they have interest in it. And hopefully one day that it has paid off in the interns already for college, but maybe one day that's going to help drive, and particularly in STEM. There's a shortage of people as a whole, so hopefully that'll pay off as we go.
Sounds good. So we have some time, and Kathy didn't tell me I go off script a lot. Did we have any questions from the audience that you would like to ask our panel? And one of my classmates was asking, she posed a question of how important a resume is in determining in you hiring someone. I mean, you see different things on resumes. I had my personal opinion of it, but I can be swayed. But you see a lot of different things on resumes. That's job hopping, that's just a lot of different things. So what's your weight on resumes and hiring someone, and how much weight do you put on that when you make your final decision?
I don't mind mentioning my thoughts on it. Obviously, it's a tool. Obviously it should be used in conjunction with, just common sense practices that we all have in place. Obviously, do everything that you can to speak directly or face-to-face with the applicant so you can truly get a good idea of what that candidate has to offer. But I will tell you, anybody that that is in the job market working on resumes, please have them proof their resume. That is something that, in my mind, it's the first picture that I have of you is that resume. And if you improperly spelled the employer where you worked, it's a reflection. I just think that some people, it's not something that's important to them, but I am a diehard proofer. And so to me, it does matter. I do see those things. I wouldn't cast out someone for that. I would want to, see more about them, but just make sure you proof a resume because it does say so much.
And all my employees will tell you, I probably would cast you out for that. I'm because if you're not going to care, they're laughing back there, but if you're not going to care enough, you don't care that much about yourself to invest your time in your own money and career, can I trust you to do it to our employees? And ultimately, that's what I'm hiring you to do, is to do that and take it toward our customers. We several of us speak around to colleges, career services centers as we go out and recruit and network about resumes. And I have kids. There's one finishing college this semester, fingers crossed, and then one that just graduated. And I tell them this story. When I first got out of college, my first job, I had to hire a student worker, and at Auburn University, and I got 200 resumes. Well, I can't interview 200 people, so my whole goal is to throw out 190 resumes so I can narrow it down to 10. So while the resume isn't that important in real life, all you're trying to do is get to the interview, and I can't do it. So yes, I'll chunk you if you misspell something. If you got the stamp on, you got to break the tie kind of and get rid of some of them. And that's a real life. You're not interviewing 200 people. And so my daughter just had to do one for something at school, and she sent it to me, and I just texted back. It's like, that's the most boring resume I've ever seen. And I look at them all day, every day. So I do think it's important, not for necessarily the reason that they are thinking, but it's a tool to get you into that room. And once you get to that room, so I tell everybody there, if you haven't talked to your parents, you should proofread first. But the second thing, if you haven't talked to your parents or relatives or anybody else that you know about where their friends work, do they have openings, and try to network, then you're probably never making it to the room. It's like almost every one of those jobs is around networking, and so that your resume floats to the top and stays in those 10.
I think we look for resumes that have personality, and there are some pretty horrible resumes that I have seen in my few years that I've been in staffing. And when we interview, whether it be for a temporary employee or for permanent placement, we're going to make suggestions. Everybody they love to work with people and they can multitask. Well, so can everybody else. So that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the meat of what's in a resume, but you want to make sure that it does have personality and it reflects who you are and what you're capable of doing.
For sure.
I'm glad you said that, because we had that same discussion. Every single person puts hard work in, multitasker, team player. And it's like, I'm not saying don't put it on your resume, but it's self-motivated. It's on every one of them.
Absolutely. Yes.
Speaking of tools, do any of you utilize the results of the ACT work keys for the job skill assessment and your profiling for your applicants?
Yes, Viking has different tools. That is one of the tools that we do use. We've had a great partnership with the CAP Center at MDCC and have, developed some of that through the years. We also have our own pre-employment assessment that was begun best practices 25 years ago. It has developed through the years. Obviously, it's not the same exact test that we used then, but that is one of the tools that we do use for pre-employment assessments. And we do require that these students, it's not a pass-fail, it's a blanket category that you're eligible for based on that, but it is one of the tools that we use.
So we do on certain jobs, we give them a test internally, but our interview process involves a question and answer around technical scenarios from our technical people, asking them. The one thing good about being in Mississippi is a small community, so networking, almost everybody applies that has experience that we would normally give a test to. We're going to know their skill level or be able to figure it out. But we do give tests to some. That it's a homegrown test, scenario based. But most of our jobs we're honestly hiring off of personality and ability to fit into our culture. That they're a good human being first, and then secondly that will actually fit into us because we're all kind of sarcastic, think we're funny nerds.
We utilize work keys as well. We also use some specific skills evaluations, especially in our permanent placement division for personality profiles, how someone's going to fit into a different work environment. If it's in an office, we're going to evaluate Word, Excel, PowerPoint, those types of things. A lot of people will say, oh yeah, I can do that, but they really can't. And so we do evaluate that. There's so many skills available, skill assessments that are available now, and I certainly recommend that you use those.
Okay. As a Baptist girl from Prentiss, Mississippi, when you see people walk out doing this, your time is up. Thank you so much for coming. I hope this was a help to everyone, and thank the panel for your help. Thanks.